Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, Sleepy Joe, your days are numbered. I mean, folks, it is official. It is on like Donkey Kong. Kyle Rittenhouse essentially all but confirms that he and his legal team are pursuing legal action against what seems to be target number one, top on the chopping block, President Joe Biden, and of course the rest of the smear merchants in media to follow. And really, who would have thought? In what universe would you expect the biggest legal action and the biggest legal cases to absolutely BTFO the media and the Democrats would come from just a couple kids? Nicholas Sandmann taking down the Washington Post and CNN, not exactly sure how old he was, but I'm assuming around 16, and now the Kenosha kid, just barely freshly turning 18, taking on the entire system and seemingly on a serious win streak that I think is just getting started. So let's first start off with what Kyle Rittenhouse said about Joe Biden, and then let's get into the rest of the problems that Joe Biden is facing, because trust me, they are plentiful and they continue to mount. And then let's get into the rest of the problems that Joe Biden is facing. They are plentiful and they continue to pile up, with the overall theme of course being Joe Biden is screwed. We got some stuff to get into, but of course before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so first off, let's take a look at what Kyle said.
What did you make of the President of the United States calling you a white supremacist?
Mr. President, if I could say one thing to you, I would urge you to go back and watch the trial and understand the facts before you make a statement.
That's not a small thing to be called that.
No, it's actual malice, defaming my character for him to say something like that. It's actually quite hysterical how nobody can go back and look at the facts of the case. He crossed state lines, false. He's a white supremacist, false. None of that is true. And the lies that they can just get away with spreading is just sickening, and it's a disgrace to this country.
You know, help make this better by holding some of these liars to account. Do you plan to do that?
I have really good lawyers who are taking care of that right now. So I'm hoping one day there will be accountability for their actions that they did.
I mean, those are some legal words, and what do you think that means? That means that Kyle Rittenhouse has already been talking to his lawyers when it comes to pursuing legal action against Joe Biden. He used two specific terms, defamation and malice. You can tell not only have they already had the discussion, but they're probably already getting ready to start drafting the paperwork and to start the process. Even Kyle alluded to that as well, claiming that my team's already on it. They're in charge of it and they're taking care of it. And this isn't some frivolous case, a Hail Mary to try to get a lottery ticket. The kid has a serious case against these entities. For years, they have claimed that he possessed the gun illegally, that he took it across state lines, that he chased rather than was chased, that he's a white supremacist, that he's part of a militia group. They have made so many slanderous claims. They've defamed his character to such a degree that he literally cannot even exist where his parents live anymore. Kyle Rittenhouse and his family are now forced to pick everything up and move, because the constant threats and death threats, the threat of violence against him and his family has become so grave. In fact, even his lawyer is constantly getting death threats as well. Just take a look at this.
Can you tell me the extent of the threats against you and also the threats against Kyle?
You know, we've all had threats. The prosecutors had threats. I have the police at my house. You know, I quit answering my phone between the Kenosha County Courthouse and my office, which is only about a 17-minute drive. I had 3 death threats. They're now calling my wife's phone. I answered it and somebody said, you know, stated my correct address and said, we're coming for you tonight. I think most people who are going to try and kill me aren't going to call me, but it is unsettling.
Well, who do you think created this environment? Who painted Kyle as such a villain, and now such a terrible villain that seemingly got away with it all? Who painted the target on Kyle Rittenhouse's head? Well, it's CNN, MSNBC, Vice, TYT, the Young Turks, and of course, Joe Biden. Well, luckily enough, the target was placed on Kyle Rittenhouse, and now it seems as though there is a completely different target being painted right on Joe Biden's empty noggin.
Well, well, well. How the turntables
And oh, how disaster continues to mount for Joe Biden. Let's change the subject a little bit away from the defamation lawsuit that is clearly right around the corner and go more into the generic failure that is Joe Biden. Natasha Bertrand, the oil crisis continues and Joe Biden says, "I'm on it, folks, I got a plan." Just like he pretended to have a plan for the coof pandemic. Well, it turns out Joe Biden, once again, is flailing like an absolute buffoon without a clue as to how he is going to find a solution. Last week we covered how Senator Chuck Schumer asked Joe Biden to tap into the oil reserves, and so Joe Biden takes it as a call to action. The Biden administration to release 50 million barrels of oil from strategic reserve to bring down energy costs from the Associated Press. Oh, well, there you have it, folks. 50 million barrels of oil. Sounds like a whole lot. I mean, 50 million barrels, those barrels must be huge. Well, womp womp womp. Use of oil and petroleum products explained. In 2020, U.S. petroleum consumption averaged about 18.12 million barrels per day. So Joe Biden pulled out enough barrels of oil from the oil reserves for 2.5 days. And just like that, folks, job's done. The problem has been solved. What an absolute fool who continues to be a fool when it comes to the domain of oil production. CNN's Natasha Bertrand reports, New, the US has asked China, India, Japan, and South Korea to join in a coordinated effort to release crude oil reserves. Announcement could come tomorrow. Biden officials think it will help lower gas prices and will send a message to Saudi Arabia and OPEC. Well, there you have it, folks. China, India, Japan, and South Korea releasing a little bit of their oil reserves is definitely going to solve the problem of literally having all of the leverage on the side of Saudi Arabia and OPEC, continuing to decimate domestic oil production, create a long-term reliance on OPEC. This little short-term band-aid is definitely going to fix the total long-term reliance on OPEC production. This president is an absolute fool, and the Democrats that surround him, surprisingly enough, might even be, well, even more foolish. Elizabeth Warren leaps to the defense. It's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not OPEC's fault. It's corrupt and greedy domestic oil companies. Elizabeth Warren tries to defend Biden by blaming high gas prices on the greed of oil companies. Take a look at this.
This were just ordinary inflation, we might see prices go up. But prices at the pump have gone up. Why? Well, let me give you a hint. Chevron, Exxon have doubled their profits. This isn't about inflation. This is about price gouging for these guys. So I get it. When we see prices go up, we're all concerned, and the Republicans want to come in and just try to hammer on one theme about this economy. But we got to pay attention to the fact that folks like the oil companies say, I think it's just another opportunity to make profits, and we need to call them out on that.
Don't look at Biden. Don't look at Saudi Arabia. Don't look at OPEC. Don't look at the fact that literally less than a year ago, under President Donald Trump's leadership, America was almost totally energy independent. Look at McGreedy capitalism, McGreedy American corporations. These people are dumb, and the worst part about it is they think you are too. But of course, where do you think I'm going with this? Like I always do, the perfect segue. The American people are much smarter than you think. And Joe has a serious problem on his hands. Black voters increasingly disapproving of Biden. For quite some time now, Americans have seen polls on Biden's approval ratings get worse and worse. This has come as the president's choices have led to a series of worsening situations, particularly involving foreign policy, immigration, the economy, and more. And now, a poll run by Emerson College shows that between February 2021 and this month, Biden has lost 20 points among black voters, bringing him down to just 52% support as of now. And this survey is far from an outlier either. Folks, a couple months ago, we were covering Joe Biden having an 89% approval rating in the African American community from select polls, which then dipped down to the 60s. And we were saying, wow, now we're seeing 52% support from black voters in one of the greatest rejections of Democrat leadership from their most prized voter base, and some may even argue their most prized possession, the way the Democrats view it, absolutely despicable individuals and their disgusting entitlement to the black vote.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
And so it's just another problem to add to the list. And added on top of this one, new poll finds that Joe Biden's job approval is underwater in 40 5 states. It's pretty much game over for Joe, and we are going to see a series of L's like we haven't seen before, from the rejection of Joe Biden and his Democrat goons in 2022, to Kyle Rittenhouse suing him into oblivion, and right to voters abandoning Joe Biden and the Democrats in 2024 in the greatest red resurgence of my lifetime. At least, that's my current prediction as things stand right now. That's what I got for you guys though. Please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. I gotta get back to work though. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.